Hello and welcome to Boozy Book Reports, a simple podcast where we revisit childhood classics whilst drinking copious amounts of alcohol. We're your hosts, Beth
and Sam.
And tonight we're reporting on Angus, Thongs, and Full-Frontal Snogging. Yay! So we're going to get into the drinks first because they're time sensitive.
One is time sensitive.
The other is time sensitive too, Sam. It's time sensitive in the fact that
there's only a short amount of time in which you should ever drink this.
Yes.
So it's the ages of 15 to 16.
I mean, maybe 13 to 14.
Okay.
But Sam made a beautiful shot for us tonight that she's going to describe because it is freaking lovely.
Well, so it's this is a drink that harkens back to I know we should say we don't condone underage drinking.
No.
But that being said, realistically, when I was in high school at a party, somebody's cool mom sent 30 kids over a very small bottle of Bailey's Irish Cream. And so it's 30 nerds drinking from one, very small bottle of Bailey's. So we didn't get very much. But my friend had come back from Spain where he had this as, I guess, a shot in a bar for children.
Okay.
So it's an ice cream.
Is that a real thing? Bars for children?
Spain.
Okay. When in Rome.
When it's this ice cream cone, like a sugar ice cream cone, with chocolate and Bailey's, and then you put whipped cream on it, and it looks like ice cream. So if you see the Instagram post that will come with this episode, you can see a picture of it.
Yes.
But you're supposed to eat the whipped cream and then take the shot, which is Bailey's and chocolate. And so I think,
bottoms up. Here
bottoms
we go.
up.
Okay. That's not cute.
We were 15. It didn't matter. So I will say you get a little snack with it because you get Bailey's and some whipped cream and chocolate and all that jazz. But it's real sweet.
It's like, ooh, I have a cavity.
Yeah. I remember getting stomach aches after doing this the first time.
Oh, great.
Yeah. We were like, oh, it's so much. But the booze to like sugar ratio is very high.
Very high. But it's freaking delicious. I'm like licking my fingers. We both have frosting, or what is this called?
Whipped cream.
Whipped cream all over our faces. But it's really good.
So yeah, that was something we had in high school.
It is a very high school drink.
Yeah. That's sort of the appeal. It's like, if you can't handle booze, but you can handle sugar, here you go.
So speaking of handling booze, we know I'm not the best drinker. But when I had cool parents. So when my best friend Court and I were like 14, it was like the summer before we were going into high school, we wanted to drink. And so my parents got us a beer that we got to split. I remember I had an armoire in my bedroom and they left it inside the armoire for us.
Oh, classy.
I think
warm armoire beer.
Well, and here's the thing. Neither one of us were liking the beer. And so I'm actually sharing the second drink tonight. And this is based on that fateful evening, because as we were drinking the beer, we were like, this is disgusting. What do we have that could make this better? Like, what mix-in could we possibly add? And you know what we use? Pepsi. So this
could have made it a michelada. Could have made it anything. Could have made it a snake bite.
It could have been a lot of different things.
What is this? What is the name for your cocktail?
So I'm just calling this the TP bomb because after we drank these, my friend and I started putting toilet paper around our bodies and giggling, and then ran into my backyard. So here you go.
Cheers.
Enjoy. Oh, okay, it's not horrible.
No, I admit I was gonna have a line about, this is why you don't mix in drinks, Beth.
Yeah.
This is not the worst thing.
No. I mean, it's not good, but it's not horrible.
Coming back to España, to Spain, they will mix wine and Coke.
Red
wine and
I've
Coke.
seen that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and Tom Hanks came out with this thing where he was mixing champagne with Diet Coke or something. Or
is this
a Sprite.
A pandemic thing?
This is recently, and then they were drinking. It was Coke and oh my gosh, I'm literally out of it. It's fine. And Prosecco or something, and it was supposed to be really good.
Okay, so I have to tell you, one time we were in up north Wisconsin, which is where some of my husband's family's from, and we were at a bar, and his aunt is a wine drinker, and so this is not a bar is a strong word. It's, if you've ever been to northern Wisconsin, there's all these like forest bars that are just like
in the forest or just called forest?
Yeah, no, they're just bars. There are way too many bars.
Or like backwood bars?
Yeah, for like the number of people. There's, Kevin and I play a game called like bar church when we get into a corner. Because there's always one. But we went to this place and it's called Rockin' Robin's, and it's fun. Robin is a character, and it's its own like sort of has its own mythology around anyway, it's its own mythology. But we went there and his aunt asked for white wine at this backwoods bar.
That's not. I even know you don't do that.
And the lady next to her, she said, "Is the wine good?" And the bartender, who I think was Robin, was like, "I don't know. I don't drink wine. We got Jaeger on tap." And the lady next to her said, "It's not bad if you spritz it." And Kev's aunt goes, What's spritzing? And they're like, "You put in Sprite in the white wine."
Oh.
Spritzing
it. Okay.
So
just add a little carbonation.
Just add a soda to some booze and it
just makes everything better.
Yeah. It's not terrible.
It's not terrible. Again, the ratio is about 1 to 1. 1 to 1.
It looks like sewer water.
It does have a menacing, like, brown tinge to it.
I love it. It's actually pretty good. I'm gonna finish it.
Yeah. Well, there's more where that came from.
Yeah, you got a whole tall boy.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So before we really jump into this book, I just have a trigger warning. Oh my gosh. As I was writing all of these down, I couldn't believe this is the longest trigger warning that we've done yet. So homophobia, anti-Semitism, essay, incest, fat phobia, racism, ableism, and general misogyny.
Also a trigger warning that the book sucks. Just add that in.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Sam's
full dropping it. Just dropping it.
Well, you're going to hear all of our opinions. But Sam's going to read the back of the book first. So this is the original UK version. Back of the book.
There are 6 things very wrong with my life. 1, I have one of those under the skin spots that will never come to a head, but will lurk in a red way for the next 2 years. Number 2, it is on my nose. Number 3, I have a 3-year-old sister who may have peed somewhere in my room. Number 4, 14 days the summer holidays will be over, and then it'll be back to Stalag 14 and Oberfuhrer Frau Simpson and her bunch of sadistic teachers. Number 5, I am very ugly and I need to go into an ugly home. And number 6, I went to a party dressed as a stuffed olive.
Yeah. So this book was published in 1999. I know you read this when you were in high school. I just missed this book. Like it came out right after I would have not been interested.
Yeah.
But it was written by this UK writer, Louise Rennison. And yeah, it's the first of 10 books in a series.
Yeah.
Shocking. I'm shocking that there was 10 of these.
Well, if she wrote them all in 1999.
It would make sense.
Yeah.
That's not a pass for what happens between these pages, but it's definitely an explanation. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I read this in school and I remember it being so funny, and now I can't tell if I've aged or
no, it did make me laugh out loud. There was a couple times, couple lines, zingers that I was like, oh, that was funny. And then it was back to like flagging everything that was horrific.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to just jump in?
Yeah,
okay.
Let's go.
Okay. So first of all, this is before we get started. When Sam recommended this book, I didn't understand because I thought the book was called Angus Thongs, a boy's name, Angus Thongs, and Full-Frontal Snogging. And so I'm like, where's Angus, the guy? Because there was a movie that came out in like the 90s called Angus. And so I thought, maybe it was not. So I was, which if you've seen Angus, the movie, we should be friends because it's an amazing masterpiece of teenage angst. Anyway, so the story starts off with this unfortunate choice of Halloween costumes.
Yes. Which I thought that was actually pretty funny.
It's cute, yeah.
I would do that now.
There is a weird shift though, like when you go from like wearing like a kid's costume to just being a sexy whatever.
That's true.
In some ways. Oh my gosh. Okay. Guess what I was for senior year costume at a Halloween party? Just a guess.
A prostitute, because that's what I went as.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I was a dominatrix.
Yeah. That's
full on leather.
Oh,
with a whip.
Wait, what did your mom? Did she help with that?
I had the party at my house. So she did not help, but they were very fine with me exploring sexuality, I guess. So
yeah.
But at the same time, not. But yes. Yeah.
Yeah. My prostitute, we just basically went as kind of racy. That was like our costume, basically.
What was your, she's 14. So what was your 14-year-old costume? Probably, do you remember?
Ooh, that would have been what, junior year?
14?
No.
Are you advanced?
No.
It'd be like 8th grade.
No, 8th grade.
I skipped
8th
7
grade.
classes.
I remember my freshman year of high school, we all went as, we all went in togas because we all went as Greek gods and goddesses.
Oh, cool. That's a good one.
Yeah. So it was like cool, but it wasn't quite the sexy.
Yeah.
The sexy costume didn't come until I was like a junior, senior.
Okay.
I remember senior year at Carolyn's like Halloween party. That was where we all wore the like, and I have to admit, all of the smutty clothes that were so racy were all just borrowed from my mother.
Yeah, love it.
It was just my mom's.
I used to dress up for Halloween in my mom's lingerie. I was a witch when I was 8, and my mom just draped me in her like lingerie capes. I'm like, why do you have so many lace and sheer capes?
And she's like, don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry about it. That used to be my dress up closet.
Yeah. All mine were
very
like
disturbing thinking about it now.
Old sheer old lady 90s that we had like inherited from, somebody. Yeah. And now I look back and I'm like, those were all like see-through 90s.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, so you guys wore these, got busy, and then let me dress up in them? It feels wrong. It feels wrong. Anyway, so she gets to this party and realizes her 4 best friends are not dressed how she thought they'd be dressed. They were dressed in cute outfits. And her closest friend, Joss, that's how I said it. Is that how you say it in your head?
I thought it was
J-A-S.
Jazz is what I kind of call her in my head.
See, I just made up my own name. So I was like, Joss.
Joss.
Joss
Queen.
I was like, Joss. That's exactly what I was doing when I was reading the book. But she was basically telling her like, hey, like boys don't like funny girls.
I know. I highlighted that, was like, oofta.
It was bad. And then the sad thing is that like immediately after we get our very first homophobic remark.
Yeah. She always has this like fear she's going to be a lesbian. But like, I don't know, 1990, Ellen came out in 1997.
Yeah.
And it kind of for a while tanked her career. I could see this being a fear for kids at that time.
It didn't age well. This did not age well.
No.
In 99, I could see people having this mindset more, but it did not age well.
No.
And it wasn't just one comment. Like I flagged every time, and it was at 15 or more times that she brought it up.
And I don't think actually, I read this in probably like 2005. I don't think it would have been that much better in 2005.
I don't think so. I have a funny lesbian story.
You met a funny lesbian or?
No.
Oh.
Well, it's not funny, haha. It's funny, just like sad in the sense that like, so when I was growing up, I would watch like Maury and different shows, but this was pre-Maury, like, you are not the father. This
when
was
they
like,
all became that.
It was like Jenny Jones and all these people and Donahue, and like they would have like gay men or lesbians on, and like they were always white. And so as a Black kid growing up, I thought, and I was young. Okay, don't come at me. But I thought only white people could be gay. And it was like, I remember the first time I saw this gay, it was a gay woman on TV, and I was like, but she's Black. And it was just like, it just reiterates how exposure is key.
Yeah.
And like with being like,
it's also peak kid logic where you're like, yes, I have seen gay people. They are white. White people can be gay.
Well, and we'd been to Seattle a million times growing up, and I only ever saw white people like holding, like white girls holding hands and white men kissing. So I was just like, oh yeah, it's just white people. Which again, kid logic. Even now I'm just so like, why? And it went on for way too long. I have to say it was pre-internet, so I'm a little older than Sam, so it was like I probably thought that way until I was about 13, and then I was just like, oh, okay, got it.
Anybody can be gay.
Cool. I was just like, oh my gosh.
Oh, geez.
But that memory was pushed to the front after reading her talk about this so many times. But yeah, I was really surprised on how consistent it was and how negative. Whereas like the other stories we've read, like it's been a theme before, but it was more like because that person was having those feelings or they were questioning more so than like just somebody being blatantly you know?
I'm not, there was a little bit of thou doth protest too much.
Yeah.
That like, maybe you're bi or something.
Yeah.
Like,
I was trying to get more information on the author. I did not do a good job researching, but I don't know. It was just, Anyway, so that's how the book starts. So these girls are like just this, they're called the Ace Gang, and they only care about like boys and makeup and getting kissed. And it's very similar to Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, except without any introspection. No, that's not what I would say. Maybe. I don't know.
Less,
or growth.
There's I'd say less growth. Well, she kind of chills out a little bit through the book about her, Jazz and Tom. But yeah, it was sort of like a very shallow version of it all. I don't know.
Yeah. So they're kind of like getting ready to go back to school, and she decides she wants to pluck her eyebrows, which is hilarious.
Yes.
Because then girlfriend is like, you know what? I should get a razor.
Okay. There were like relatable teen moments where, yeah.
But then, okay. So this is where it really this is early on. It really took a turn for me because so she has this incident with her eyebrows, and she's kind of just like getting ready to go back to school. But then she has an incident with her cousin.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the hell did I just read?
Same. I did not remember. So maybe it's the Baileys, the high school Baileys. I didn't remember
incest happening.
Any of that.
Yeah. Her cousin is like trying to they're hanging out, and he's like, hey, let's play Tickly Bear. And he's like, let's.
Yeah.
And then. Yeah.
And then it got gross.
It got really gross.
So there was I did have one relatable point post the eyebrow, not the cousin loving.
Okay. Thank
Beth
you.
looking at me like, no, where she talks about her sister being the only nice person that she was stroking where my eyebrows used to be. And then she went off and brought me a lump of cheese. Great. I have become Rat Woman.
Oh, I loved that line. I love the cheese thing.
Yeah. That's cute.
Yeah.
But otherwise,
her cousin, I just think it was so creepy.
Groomy. Yeah, I didn't like that. I don't remember that. I don't remember.
It was pretty bad. Yeah. So then anyway,
there's a lot of nothing that happens in this book.
A lot of nothing.
Yeah. I was trying to think of major plot points. It's just a lot of
the first
nothing.
major one is when they meet the sex gods.
Sex god. Yeah.
Yeah. So her friend Joss, falls in love with this boy that's he works in a market.
Yeah, his parents' grocery store.
Yeah, and he ends up having a brother who our lead character, her name is, I even forgot her name. Georgia, sorry. That's how much I care. And she falls in love with him, but he has a girlfriend named Lindsay, so it's a whole thing. So she's trying to prepare for this imagined fantasy life she's going to have with him, and decides she needs to learn how to kiss.
Yes.
And
so she gets lessons.
Lessons, like piano lessons, but with tongue.
I also thought that guy was creepy. If there was a dude walking around be like, hey ladies, I'll teach you how to kiss, I would be like, piss off.
Right?
Please don't talk to me.
Yes.
I surely would not go to his house and go in his room.
No. No, that's not the choice.
No. I mean, I applaud the spirit of knowledge.
Yeah.
Good job doing your research, girl.
The quest for more. But so this was made into a major movie too. Yeah, so I watched the movie, and it equally is creepy. They only mentioned the homophobia stuff, I think, once or twice. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of annoying because that in the movie it's the four friends, and there's one girl that's played by an Indian girl. Yeah. And she's the one that says it. And I'm like, so we're not even going to make Georgia be the one, because in the book she's the one that's always saying it, and so you just kind of scapegoated this other girl,
and the only woman of color. That's upsetting.
So I was just like, ooh. Yeah. But the guy Peter in the movie is super creepy, and he has a long shag, and it's the most awkward needing to fast forward of them making out. It was so gross, and I was just like, ugh. What is this show? Yeah,
I can't imagine if anybody had said oh, I'll teach you how to kiss. I would have been like, ugh, no.
Yeah,
and
he's a little bit older too.
Yeah.
Well, and then they go to a party, and after she's snogged with this guy, and Peter is obsessed with her now.
Yeah,
and he pulls her outside and kind of attacks her and
mauls her in the bushes.
And then her skirt goes up till her undies are out, and then of course Robbie, her crush, and his girlfriend Lindsay walk by, and it's just super awkward. So yeah, again, this book is just so much special.
Yeah, Wait, so what have you taken kiss lessons? And if you're willing to share, what was your first kiss in high school?
It was more middle school.
Middle school, yeah.
And I probably would have not taken lessons. I think my fantasy always was to meet an older college guy when I was 12, 13, 14, and just, there's a lot to unpack there.
I think it's a very common fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Would you have taken kissing lessons?
No, I figured that all the other nerdos that I hung out with, none of them knew what the hell they were doing. Like, we were all just learning together.
Yeah, it's just awkward.
Yeah.
Sorry, now I'm having flashbacks and nobody wants that.
Drink more Pepsi beer. Drink more Pepsi beer.
It'll be fine. So George is really like jealous of her friend Jess because Jess starts going out with Tom and they're snogging and just she's feeling very left out, and so she convinces her to like break up with him.
She's so nasty here.
She's kind of nasty throughout the whole book.
Yeah, she's like, not nice.
She's not nice, and honestly, it never really changes. She's just mean.
Maybe we need to get into book 9 before there's some like character development. You know, it struck me that this was trying to be sort of like teenage Bridget Jones's Diary. But I loved Bridget Jones's Diary. And maybe now I read around this time, like maybe I hate it now. But Bridget Jones like grows as a character and becomes confident and like.
Yeah. There's not that.
This lady is just kind of mean. Like she's slightly less mean later when Jas starts dating Tom again, you know?
Well, and I think what's weird about this book too is like her little sister's a complete weirdo. Like rabid animal, pooping in corners. She's 3 years old. You shouldn't be pooping in corners.
That's probably true.
And then they have this cat, Angus, who is literally like a devil cat. Yeah. I've never seen a cat like this. They wrote it like a dog to me because it's eating like towels and this and that. I know that can happen with cats, but it just felt like a dog cat.
Yeah. I mean, it was sort of vicious. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she gets along with it.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm kind of with you. Her home life is also kind of wild.
Yeah, like what's happening here? And her dad gets offered this job to go to New Zealand because he works in like geothermic pressure. I don't know. I can't remember. And anyway, and then her mom, she's afraid her mom's having an affair with the interior designer.
Yeah, but it seems like they're just having like, maybe the mom's got a little crush and it's maybe just like flirting, but she sounds like she's just lonely and misses her husband.
Yeah. It's kind of wild.
It's all through the lens of this like girl who's incredibly like, spoiled and rude and mean. And she's like super mean to her parents. I'm like, you can be mean to your parents, fine, but and that's the age to do it, right?
Yeah,
that's the age where you're like, oh, they don't know anything. But yeah, she's so mean.
Starts calling her dad Vader.
Vati. I thought that was just sort of if you read the acknowledgements or the beginning, the dedication, she calls her mom that, her mom and dad that too. So I thought that was just like a pet name. But
I don't read anything past the start of the book and the end of the book.
I will remind you that in our scary stories one, my favorite was the epilogue or the notes. The bibliography was so good.
Oh my gosh. So the girls are they're doing the thing that girls do. The one thing that killed me is when they rated each other on all their physical features and whatnot.
Wait, were you this competitive with your girlfriends?
No.
They were so mean to each other. We were
really
not
mean.
This mean.
No.
I remember, so my friend Courtney, who actually was the one that told me to read this book when we were in high school, and I love her dearly. To this day, love her dearly. I remember we did tell her to break up with a guy. We were like, you shouldn't date this guy. Because he was an asshole and potentially slightly borderline red flag for like abuse things. Like that was the only time we were ever like, you know, if anything, we were really protective of one another and would ask the guys if you were to shave off if you had to remove your eyebrows, would you do it with A, a butter knife, B, a razor, or C, a laser? And we had these like stupid things. We were really protective of one another. Were your girlfriends this catty?
I mean, in middle school, yeah. Like there was always kind of like good friends with some, and then like it was a pretty big group of girls, and it was kind of like there was a big enough group of girls, and it's all vaguely coming back to me, and I feel like there were some of the girls that were more like goody girls, and some of the girls that were already experimenting with like drinking and drugs and all of that stuff.
We had that,
and then there was a lot of infighting with like boys that became kind of a thing. But I mean, I don't feel like it was like this. I don't feel like people were like hey, let's look at each other's bodies and like make judgments.
We did not. I don't remember fighting over boys. I remember at one point, Courtney, same friend, love you, Cookie. She had some interactions with a guy that I had dated, and she called me the next day and was like, hey, this is what happened. We were at a party. We kissed.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to tell you. And I was like, well, are you going to date him? And she was like, no, I think it was just a one-time thing. But I wanted to be upfront and transparent with you. And like, and we had a good laugh about it all. And if she had said she was going to date him, it would have been fine. We would have just talked about maybe some like boundaries or ground rules or something. But like, we were never like fighty over boys like this. There was even a guy that we all kind of liked, and it wasn't. He was just kind of, he was just,
there's always one of those.
Yeah. But like, well, there were a couple, many of them were gay, it turned out. We had a time. But we, it wasn't competitive in that way.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think I was more competitive with my friends when it came to boys.
Yeah.
Because I always felt like I was losing out to girls that like, I was like, why? And then it took me a long time to realize that part of my problem was I was like one of the only Black girls at an entirely white school.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't understand that like, it wasn't the same.
The playing field was
not the same. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is
whatever. But like, I didn't realize that. And so then I was like, oh, well, that was never an option. So, but alas, this is really sad to say, but this book is really hard to report on because I've forgotten large portions of it because it was so the same.
Yes.
And it was very like, I don't know. It was like, okay, she likes this guy. And now, oh my gosh, one of the scenes I hated most. So she's obsessed with Robbie's girlfriend, Lindsay.
Yes.
And she goes to Lindsay's house. They're in their backyard, her and Joss. And they literally are like.
It kills me every time.
But Lindsay's like changing, like getting ready. And like she's in a thong and she's like.
They spy on her.
Totally spy on her. Like as she's like, but like they're in her backyard spying.
Yeah.
And then there's some creepy neighbor that like caught them. But I'm like, why is he back there? So I'm like, oh, the creepy neighbor's been watching her too. Like there's just
maybe he heard a bunch of girls giggling in the thing and was like, what the hell is going on in their backyard?
He was peeping over the hedge because girlfriend just had her whole like life on display.
Yeah.
Which honestly, like, I honestly love it when people do that. Not that to that degree, but it's like when I'm going on a walk at at dusk and then people have their garage doors open and like their blinds up and lights on. I'm like, I will be walking by slower and peeking into your home.
I mean, there's like natural curiosity, but what they do is like
very violating.
Really violating. And I was rereading like a synopsis just to make sure I kind of understand. They said something about Lindsay bullying them, but I don't remember reading that.
No.
I think that they were just really nasty to her the whole time out of like some jealousy, which I think that is something you go through a phase in like middle school and high school where you don't have the emotional maturity to like figure out, oh, I'm jealous of this person, or you know you're jealous and that's it. But
you're
instead of like, exactly. Instead of like manifesting that in like, oh, okay, maybe I'll just better myself, they attack her. And it does feel, I think, I was thinking about this. Perhaps the reason this book, I liked it so much when I was that age is like, obviously I was in that mindset still where some of those things were appropriate. And now I read, or not, they're not appropriate, but those things were understandable.
Yeah.
Whereas now I read it and I think, oh my God, like, was I that? There's a little bit of horror in my own like background. Like, was I that shitty? I mean, we used to do like silly things like, Courtney and I would go at the end of year basically and go through the yearbook and look at all the pictures and be like, oh, that guy's hot. That guy's hot. And kind of like make our strategy for who was going to be hot next year.
Oh my gosh.
And so it's like so stupid. But like those things I remember and those things kind of like feel like they could have appeared in this book. But
it's interesting to me that this is the second book where we have a blonde, big boobed,
I thought
bullied
the same
girl.
Thing that they was just like the girl from Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret.
Yeah.
But again, I think this comes back to the jealousy thing.
Yeah.
They're just jealous of her.
They're just jealous.
They just want her hot bod. But she is kind of mean at the end. She like spreads a rumor.
Yeah.
They're all mean
nasty.
girls.
Well, and sorry, I can't help myself. Joss and Georgia get in a fight because I can't even remember what the fight was.
Oh, because
Robbie went to lunch with her.
Invites Joss to lunch. And Joss thinks, well, maybe we're going to get together. If Courtney's crush had invited me to lunch, I would have said hell no.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Even at that age.
Yeah. You know better than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and kind of at the same time too, I forgot I guess it was a little bit earlier. Georgia has another weird interaction with a guy named Mark.
Oh, he's the footballer.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of dumb.
Yeah. And he's like a little older.
Yeah.
And like they end up like making out. And I think he touches her boob.
Yeah, but he this actually made me laugh. I had a good laugh at this one. He like touches her boob, has, I don't know, post-nut clarity, and just like, it's like, you're too young for me.
There was a lot of that in this book too.
And Becky lets me do things to you, or whoever, the ex-girlfriend lets me do stuff. So thanks. It's been fun. See you later. There was a lot of see you later.
Yes.
That did make me laugh.
Yes. It's kind of funny how like, I don't want to say wholesome, but like when you're that age, there's some wholesome, like not sexual, non-sexual shenanigans that happens. That's not really like creepy. It's
exploratory.
Yeah.
You know, make out behind, my neighbor's mom's Suburban. That's cool.
Well, and it's weird the things that you'll just do without thinking about it. Like I remember one time I was coming out of like, I don't know, I stayed late and there was like basketball practice happening or something. And one of the guys followed me out. And I mean, I was always looking cute. So I just remember he like walked up to me. He like kind of pressed up on me. And then he was like went to grab me and stuff and like pull. And I was like, I was not interested. He was younger than me. Like it was so awkward in it. But in the moment, I was just like, it was like a movie moment, like in it. And then I walked away and I was pissed. Cause then I was like, now he's going to go tell his friends and it's going to be like annoying. And it was, and I don't like him and he's not even cute. And then I was walking out and there's a couple of my friends that were coming in they were in 8th grade and they were 8th grade boys basketball team, 18. And I was like, oh my gosh, you won't believe what happened. I'm like, kick his ass on the court. And I was like, who are you, Beth? Like, what are you like? Where do you live? This is not the Jets and the what is the other one? The Birds, not the Birds.
No, I don't know. The other
West Side
one.
Story. The Sharks.
The Sharks.
It's not that situation. But yeah, I thought I was gonna pull some like
defend my honor.
Yeah, and I'm like, you're so stupid.
No,
anyway,
there is like silly things like that happen, and making out with like I remember we'd go to summer camp, and 2 weeks later I was always never more in love than at the end of 2 weeks with a boy from Grand Junction who played the mandolin.
Oh my gosh!
So it's like I've never known love like this. They always had this dance and they would always like it was like a super nerdy camp. It was nerd camp, basically. You'd go and it was gifted and talented camp, which very cool. But you'd go and then they sort of had this attitude of like, y'all are nerds. Y'all probably kind of get beat up where you're from. So here, find each other.
Love.
Find love. It will not get better than this. And so by the end, they'd always have this dance for you. And they were like, go, children, rub your faces together, make out. The kicker, the real twist was after like a week after I went to that camp in it was in between middle school and high school, I went to abstinence camp. Which was a very different vibe.
That's completely different.
Like, don't touch each other. Don't even look at each other.
I just want I really want a Netflix show that is like gifted and talented camp for kids.
Oh yeah.
And
it
just
was
to
wild.
see the shenanigans.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
We played. That was the first time I saw Magic the Gathering. I did not play, but my beau gave me his favorite card.
Oh, that's so sweet.
And I had it in a box. It was so fun. We had you took classes during the day and then at night you all hung out and there was like a 2-week game of Risk going.
Oh my gosh.
It was super nerdy. Played video games. We did a lot of dancing. There was a lot of risque dancing, I felt like. Yeah. All the social nerds kind of hung
But
together.
that was like the era of grinding.
Oh,
and
let me tell you.
So bad.
Some Beyonce Baby Boy in a room. It was wild.
We were grinding to Pony at that time. So it's like... I learned the power of a grind when I was in 8th grade because I was at a dance and I had the cutest dress on. I was so freaking adorable. I'll post a picture. And anyway, I remember dancing with, I think it was our end of year dance and it was just for 8th graders. And anyway, I was dancing with this one guy and I didn't really know him and I don't know, he was whatever. And I just remember grinding a little bit too much and I learned the power of the puss. So it's I was like, oh, all right. I'm taking this with me to high school. Yeah.
I still remember there was one. I just remember we were dancing to Lil Jon Get Low.
Oh, nice.
And it was in high school. We were grinding and I was dancing with this one guy and he was very nice. But we were dancing and having a good time. And then I kind of got into it and was whatever. And then didn't think about it. And then I went to school the next Monday and I will not say his last name, but Paul from my classes was like, "Oh, Sam, I saw you. You were getting down. You were really getting into it." And I was so embarrassed that like anybody, I was like, I was a good girl.
Yeah.
I was like, just caught up in the power of Little John.
Oh my god!
I just remember him like calling me out on it in like it was the ways of knowing philosophy class or whatever, and I was like,
oh my gosh, what school did you go to?
I did IB. You had to do a lot of weird shit.
Oh my gosh! So that just makes me think of like there's this weird thing at that age where you start craving attention, from people that you think are attractive, and they actually they do this. Like her and her friend, like they get all kind of dressed up, and they're seeing how many cat calls they get.
I know. I wrote like OMG next to it, but I do still remember very vividly being at it was at a hayride. And I knew there was a guy there that liked me, and I remember taking his hat and wearing his hat and sort of flouncing around because I was trying to show that I was the hot bee. It was like
amazing.
8th grade. It was so stupid. I was probably wearing I was probably wearing a puka shell necklace
and
was like, "I'm the bitch."
Oh, my friend
with this stolen hat.
My friend, her name was Callie. She was freaking amazing. And anyway, she and I remember we were like walking home from school and like there was a guy there that I was really boy crazy. So the shifting of the wind, I was just like this one.
Same.
And so anyway, so like we were walking and they were like kind of calling out to us. And so we went back to my house and like I changed into a satin bra. Like it was like cream colored satin.
Yeah.
And then we like practiced like flipping up and showing our boobs.
Oh shit.
But not like full on like titty out. Like it was just like the bra. But I was like, does this look okay? And like we did a test run and then we walked back by them and like flashed. And I was like, what are we doing?
These are so stupid, the shit you do.
It's so weird.
So there was like a lot of points in this book that I did find like, oh yeah, we were that dumb. We really were.
Yeah.
We were, Courtney and I were like, I remember we went to that party, the sexy Halloween party.
Yes.
And I went and I think it was probably my great grandmother's inherited like wool pea coat, and I went in the pea coat,
nice.
And then underneath I had
you did the big
mini
reveal.
skirt. Yeah, I was like, ooh. Not to out my sister too much, but there was one where we played strip poker.
Nice.
And at one point I come in and my sister's in she's just in a leather jacket.
Nice.
And like a skirt.
Oh, very nice.
She had her skivvies and stuff, but like the shirt was gone, the bra was gone.
Very nice.
And at one point she was like, "I've also bet your shirt," and I was like, "Too late!" Like I was too busy dancing with all the lovely gay boys in the next room over.
Oh my
I was like, "That's tough titty. That sounds like your problem, not mine." But there is like this era in where you kind of like you push the boundaries a little bit. You like. You like the attention to a point. I was always okay with it if it was a guy around my age. But I do remember walking down the street and I got catcalled by a construction worker in my neighborhood. And I was like livid because I was what does he fucking think I'm going to do?
Yeah.
Like flash some tea to him?
I was wearing like a sunflower, like 1994 style sunflower dress with actual sunflowers on them that was flowy, and it was straight out of 90210. And I was walking down the street and my skirt went up, but I had shorts on. Yeah. And I saw this man in a minivan with his family, and he totally like peeked, and it was so gross.
Yeah.
Like I was like, ugh.
You kind of know that there is like there's
a line.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's what's appropriate and
what pushes it a little bit. There's always the fantasy of like some hot college dude, but
the reality is
it
feels different for sure.
Yeah. I felt like there was. I remember when a girlfriend of mine started, she sort of started talking, because this was like at the baby beginnings of like MySpace and stuff. And she started talking to a much older guy and then went up to visit him. And I remember all of us being like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
What, like, do you want to die? That's how you get deaded. Like, please don't do that. We love you.
I had students that were like, kept finding guys on MySpace and meeting them at parks. And I'm like, this is not
Don't
the thing.
cruise.
And then one of them like flew her, like her boyfriend flew up from like LA.
No.
And I was like, this is awkward.
Too much.
Okay, so my favorite line in this entire book,
Yes.
it's like kind of halfway through. I don't even know what's going on with her life. She's just kind of like going through it. She's annoyed with her family and stuff. And this book is written like a diary. So it's diary entries, which we forgot to say earlier. And she literally is like...
Inane diary entries.
Yes. It's on page 164. And literally she's like, can't be bothered, period. And I'm like, relatable.
Yeah.
that is me.
That one is,
Yeah, that's me all the time.
In this era, in this day.
Yeah, cannot be bothered.
Several times today.
Yeah.
No.
Nope. No. Anyway, so she's really wanting to date Robbie. It's not happening. She ends up playing Lindsay in like the semifinals of a tennis tournament and beats her, throws her racket.
Well,
and,
no, she beats the woman before.
And then throws her racket and like knocks out the referee.
That actually who was a teacher.
Yes.
That made me laugh. I was like, you dumbass.
Yes. And then Lindsay goes on to win the cup. So
it made me think of that meme where the guy is like shaking he's like bites the metal and he's shaking and stuff, and it's like third place.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, you dipshit.
Like,
you
just stop.
celebrated too soon.
Well, and we forgot to mention that her love Robbie plays in a band.
Yes. The dead
The
Stiff
Dillons.
The Stiff Dillons.
Yeah, sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And so they would go to this like, so her big like moment is she makes up a dance routine
Yeah.
and does it at the club he's playing at.
And everybody clapped. It's so silly.
I mean,
That's fine.
yeah, so cringe.
Yeah. I mean, that's like you see three other people doing the dance and you're like, and I influenced everybody.
Yes. Well, and it worked because he kisses her.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that's
what a
thing.
victory. But like, he kisses her at the same event his girlfriend's at.
Yeah. And then tells her he's going to call her.
Don't be the other woman.
Yeah.
Gross, girl.
Yeah. That's not good girl code. She doesn't have girl code though. She doesn't have girl code.
They all are pretty shiesty there.
So Lindsay hears about this and she confronts Georgia at school and
Keep your mitts off my man.
pretty much. And she's like super, like Georgia, of course, is so hurt, so upset.
Oh,
and then
cry me a river.
And then she's like, tells her mom, because like her mom was like trying to get them, there's this idea that they would go see her dad in New Zealand. And she's like, buy the tickets to New Zealand.
Yeah.
Very dramatically.
It's been so hard being a home wrecker.
I need to be out of here immediately. And then they just, I don't know. The book kind of just fizzled for me a little bit.
She loses the cat, right? Angus runs away.
Yep.
But then Robbie finds Angus. And so at this point, she's like resigned herself to the fact that Angus is a little monster and has probably also been hit by a car or something.
Yeah.
And then he finds Angus, calls her, and then this is the end of the book, right?
Well, and he says he's going to break up with Lindsay, but then that she's too young for him.
Yeah. And then she's like, no, I'll dye my hair blonde.
Just one little streak.
Just streak.
It was a money piece.
Yeah.
And she let the bleach sit for too long, and it
snapped off in her hair.
mid snog.
Mid snog.
In Robbie's hand.
Don't you hate that?
Yes.
When your hair
just
falls
snaps off. Awful.
Yeah. And he's like, well, I guess this snogging's pretty good.
Yeah. And then he's like, this was the thing. Okay. I marked this because he's like, it's the very end of the book and her hair is in his hand.
Yeah.
He just kind of gets done kissing and he said, this is what he says. Well, look, let's take it easy and start seeing each other, shall we? See how it goes. Maybe keep it quiet a bit first.
Yeah. That's the one. There's the winner line. No. Yeah. Every girl that's been a secret girlfriend has
freaking secret girlfriends
really done well for herself.
Yeah. So frustrating. Although, okay, speaking of secret girlfriends, did you watch My So-Called Life?
No.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to send you a clip of Jordan Catalano. So there's this girl and she's like kind of a secret girlfriend. Her name's Angela. She's very angsty, like 1994 teen in Seattle grunge scene. And she was a good girl and now she's bad. bad. Anyway, and she's dating the hottest, most like mysterious boy in school named Jordan Catalano. And they've been making out in the boiler room and skipping classes. And he never acknowledges her. And then there's this moment where he acknowledges her. He grabs her hand and like that moment set the tone for a generation of girls of like what we wanted. We wanted the Jordan Catalano moment where the boy just acknowledges and takes your hand and goes off and just fondles you.
I was a secret girlfriend once. Now that I think about it.
Oh, you were?
But not against another girlfriend. It was because his parents were fairly... I was 2 secret girlfriends. Both of their parents were fairly LDS. And I was a spicy girl. Bad enough to be bad for the Mormon boys, but not actually bad in real life.
Yeah.
But yeah, two secret girlfriends, but it was from parents for religious reasons.
That makes sense.
And we didn't do anything. We like held hands at an assembly or some crap.
Okay, well.
Okay, no, I take that. Well, take a little of that back.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've been a secret fling before for various reasons. I don't know. It's weird. I freaking hated like the relationships in middle school and high school.
I didn't have a lot of them. I mean,
I had situationships. Like it was all awkward and weird.
I had like a couple summer boys that I sort of like because I went to school in a different place than where I lived.
Yeah.
So I had a couple summer guys that like we'd make out and hang out around the pool and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I remember when I went to college, I talked to a guy that I had gone to high school with. And I said something about, I was always like, I was always boy crazy, but none of the guys really wanted to date me. And he was like, no, there were guys that wanted to date you. You just seemed really unavailable. And I was like, I was very available. I was desperately available. I don't know what.
Guys, I was wide open.
Well,
like,
yeah, exactly. I don't know what part of like this did not say like, please date me. But he was like, no, you're just always busy. And then I had this like, if that's what you mean having my own shit?
Yeah.
I do remember, because I was thinking about this at the end. I do remember, I think we've talked about this before when all the senior guys started dating freshman girls. And like, it was these kind of things were actually these kind of formative moments in my feelings about men. Because I had that had happened and I went to college and I was told, oh yeah, no, you were just sort of like unavailable. And by that I meant you had your own hobbies and shit. And then I had another guy who is now my husband tell me that I was too intense. And I was just like, what? Then fuck this.
Yeah.
I'll just be myself and I'll just date whoever comes. And if they're interested and they're nice and interesting, I will date them. But I'm not going to sit around here and wait and try and like, fuck this.
Yeah.
Just be myself.
Yeah.
But I think you need that. This girl's not there yet.
No.
You need it.
No.
You need that moment of just like, I'm just going to do me.
Yeah. And some people honestly never find that. Like I know, there's people that literally like they get married like right out of high school or right like really early. And then their just life is wrapped up in that.
Yeah.
And it's like, what do you like to do? I don't know. Like, okay, I can't relate. Like anyway, I don't know. This book was actually like, again, there were some really funny moments, but it was so tainted by all of the like racist remarks.
Yes.
Like racism against Asian people and Jewish people. And then just
sexist comments. And there was like a lot of internalized misogyny.
A lot. Just, again, my whole book is flagged with just like, oh, this is awful. Oh, this is awful. Like, why would you do this? Why would you say that? Why would you make a joke about incest with your cousin? Like, it was just too much. And they literally, I think they like almost hit every group in, just being
shitty.
Awful. Yeah. Yeah. Awful. So
it's all kind of rooted in her own unhappiness. So I don't know, maybe over the course of 10 books, she finds happiness, but I'm not encouraged to read the rest.
No, and don't watch the movie. I mean, the girl in the movie is the fiance or wife of the guy, Ronald Weasley, that played Ronald Weasley, that stars in it. Yeah. Anyway, fun tidbit, because I watched the movie. And then the boy is, the lead boy, Robbie. He's this guy that like married a much older, when he's 18 he married, or 19 married like a 42-year-old woman, and that was a director of one of his movies, and so there was a lot of scandal around that. But he's in contention to be the new James Bond, I guess, or something.
I just know the dad is Greg Davies and he goes on the panel shows.
Yes, he was actually really funny. The movie was not as funny as the book. it wasn't quite as mean, but it definitely, they gave her a little bit of a redemption arc, but it wasn't great.
Yeah.
She basically just gets everything she wants and then makes Lindsay look like an asshole. So what do we rate this?
1, getting your braces stuck. Getting while snogging.
Yeah. I was literally in the negatives. I couldn't even think of anything. It was like this
is my least favorite one we've read.
The cat eats your face. That's what I rate it. The cat just Angus eats your face.
Slaps you with his little paw.
Yes. And then chokes you out with a thong.
Angus and the choking you out with a thong and a really, really bad day.
Yeah. It was not it for me.
Yeah.
Not it for me. But I was happy to be done with it.
Yes.
But
it took me I looked at the text and thought, oh, this is really big.
Yeah.
There's all these spaces. And it took me a really long time to read it.
Yeah. But I can get it though, because it's like if you read it and you loved it at an age and then rereading it must have been kind of like,
what in the hell was I thinking?
Yeah.
I think there are some relatable moments, and I think at that age there's definitely relatable moments, but there's also moments that I think back, even then we were not that mean to each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, occasionally we were like mean to each other. We'd make jokes about stabbing each other and the hands with the pencil, or Courtney would say I was gonna like die on the side of the road. She had this really dramatic way for how I was gonna die if I did try to come in on a snow day.
Okay.
It was involved a lot of illness that came later.
My bestie Courtney and I, because I have a best friend Courtney too, we would booby slap each other. And so it was like a nut tap, but just to a boob. And a lot of time it was like, here's a wooden spoon and just whip it.
Do you like slap each other in the boob, or do you slap her
in
with
the boob.
your boob?
No, with the boob. So you like get a wooden spoon or something and just like pop them and it'd just be like, or they'd slap you.
Oh my God.
So it was painful.
We used to do play tennis where you hold another person's hand like you're giving them a handshake, and then you slap the back of their hand as hard as you can until somebody gives up.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were dicks.
Vicious.
But like also when Courtney had that shitty boyfriend, we were all like, dump him now.
Oh yeah.
Like, leave him. And then she actually did break up with him.
Nice.
And she said, my friends don't like you.
I mean, that's girl code. Like that's truth and that's girl code.
We didn't like him.
Love
he was
that.
Not nice.
So next month we have a palate cleanser. So next month, do you want to announce what we're reading?
We're reading Meet Samantha.
Yes, it's an American Girl story. I feel like this is our most juvenile book yet.
I'm so amped. I have a story about this one when we get there.
Yeah. I'm excited to read them. I need something like wholesome and light and just like I feel like you learn a little bit too about history when you read the American Girl books.
There's some notes at the end about history. I'm gonna love it.
Oh my gosh. So if you are enjoying our podcast, we would love it to hear from you. Give us a review or a rating at Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. Please make sure to subscribe so you never miss one of these amazing episodes.
And if you're our friend, comment on obviously our Facebook posts and you might end up a review.
That's right. Yes. So follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Boozy Book Report. And we'll see you next time.
Yay. See you then.